Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to put on our suits and ties because we're getting serious. Altcoins are no longer a field of degenerates. No, 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 no. They are a field of people in suits and ties, just like how Bitcoin has transformed to become. Exactly that. The SEC in January of 2024 classified Bitcoin as a commodity. Ever since they did that, we saw close to $100 billion of institutional flow into Bitcoin. From January, we went all the way up by 219%, and tens of billions of dollars were accumulated from people that are not willing to sell in the long term. But that didn't happen for altcoins. Altcoins refused to see institutional adoption because there was still no clarity on whether if altcoins are securities or not. And when you see that ambiguity, institutions refrain from investing. We had the Digital Chamber conference where Paul Atkins, the new SEC chair, gave a speech saying that we're no longer the Securities and Everything Commission anymore. No. Along with the CFTC, the Commodities Commission, they have drafted 5 different token categories to put our current cryptocurrencies into, allowing institutions to basically allocate without having any hesitation and resistance. This is what we're going to cover. We're going to look at which cryptocurrencies are now officially digital commodities, just like Bitcoin, and the price impact we've seen on these cryptocurrencies. Following the news, it hasn't been good. And then we'll go into Bitcoin in the short term. Bitcoin is at 69. Yesterday's FOMC was hawkish as expected. A lot of uncertainties regarding crude oil prices and how that's going to reflect on inflation. I will discuss that briefly too. And we'll end off with gold and silver absolutely tanking. Gold down 6%, silver down 10% in the past 24 hours. Last night, when gold was still up, we said that, look, gold is due for a huge correction. We're getting a MACD bearish crossover on the weekly. RSI, huge bearish divergence, and gold is correcting like predicted. If you enjoy this type of content, make sure to destroy the like button because we're here every single day. And subscribe if you're not a crypto kid already. Let's begin with altcoins and then we'll get into the rest of the matters. So, we don't have the Clarity Act that is passed in Congress yet. That's what we're really shooting towards. If we can get the Clarity Act bill passed, then all of these categories that they've created between the CFTC and SEC will be cemented into American law. Even if the SEC has a change in administration, or if the CFTC changes, they cannot backtrack on Congress-approved law. Whereas what they've come up with now can technically be reversed by a future administration. But let's try and celebrate in these bad times, these rough times. We should celebrate. We should still be happy. And I think over the next 3 years, it will be great for institutions to start buying up, even with what these two regulatory bodies have come up with in the Digital Chamber Conference. What are those 5 categories? Well, you have digital commodities. These are native assets of functioning networks like XRP, like Aptos, like AVAX. Think any layer 1. The coin that is associated with the layer 1 is traditionally now classified as a digital commodity, not a security. It can potentially be a security, depends on how it fits into the Howey test. But if a project is not promising you to take the money that you've invested as a collective group of investors, they don't take this money, put it into something, generate a dividend, and distribute it to the holders, then you're sitting on a good line. From my perspective, you're sitting on a good line. Paul Atkins was very clear that they're just trying to classify tokenized securities as only securities. If you're wrapping a Nvidia stock and turning it into a token, that's still a security. It's just a crypto wrapper form. So that's what they're really focusing on. But if you're a layer 1 coin, then you're traditionally fine. Digital collectibles, where the item's value comes from its uniqueness, art or fandom or scarcity, then you're good. Digital tools, utility tokens that provide memberships, tickets, credentials, titles, in-game items, you're good. And then stable coins are a different segment. But really, we're looking at XRP, Aptos, AVAX, Doge, Link, Tezos, Stellar. Like, these are all fine. You would assume that the prices have skyrocketed following this news, because if we got that clarification in 2021 in the height of the bull market, I'm telling you, XRP would have went to $5, Ethereum would have went to $15,000. This is the tick you need for institutions to say, hey, I'm investing X and X amount of hundreds of millions or billions of dollars. But instead, because we're in the bear market and nobody cares about crypto, even though great things are taking place, XRP is down 4.6% on the news. Ethereum is down around 8% on the news. For me, that's a great sign to be accumulating. I think the market still has a bit more of a correction to undertake. Bitcoin is in the bear flag. Even if we get a move to 84, I ultimately see a rejection anyways. I think the lows will be approached towards Q4 of this year. I'm not happy with the S&P 500. I'm not happy with what I've learned following the FOMC press conference. It's very hawkish. We don't know how long crude oil prices, which if we want to trade crude oil commodities, at least get exposure into the price action, you can check out the BTCC link in the description down below. We don't know how long commodities will remain at elevated territories. If they continue like this, even if they don't, I see next month's inflation report being tremendously higher. And I think when we see that higher report, it's just going to keep on going up and up and up. I had the chart, but it looks like it's disappeared. I think inflation is just going to continue heading higher, follow its crude oil pair. And that's going to really make it difficult for the Fed to be cutting rates. We don't expect a rate cut now all the way until 2027. So in these current monetary conditions, I don't see risk on assets doing well. We've been speaking about the S&P coming to a top. I think it has. I think we're going to drop lower. I think Bitcoin also has some more lower price action to see. I think gold, silver, we said it was due for a correction last night. Just not even one day later, we're seeing that take place. So even with all this good stuff that's changing the course, making things more serious for altcoins, in the short term, due to a lack of liquidity, I don't see us going up and reversing until after Q4. But since we know that this is taking place and 99% of the world doesn't know that the SEC and CFTC classified 16 assets as digital commodities, XRP, Aptos, AVAX, Doge, Sol, ADA, and pretty much all layer one coins, there's an opportunity to be buying all the way into Q4. That's what I'm doing with Bitcoin. That's what I'm doing with the select few altcoins that I personally like. And yeah, it's just a game of patience at this point. We need to continue being patient, and our patience will pay off dividends in the future. We need to stick around with what we're doing, remain consistent, and have the patience. Guys and girls, thank you so much for watching. Take care, and I'll see you all on the next update video very soon. Bye-bye, everyone.